Yeah, we sent the document last night. However, we also learned from your comment for the groups yesterday, so we actually adjust a little bit and based more on your guidance in terms of the slide structure and things like that. So we have the updated version of it.
Okay, news goes around quickly, yeah. All right. So I will look at and finish it in a shorter time, then I can go to the next one. I think it was the other one that sent to me was company E. So it will be G first, and if there's time, E. Okay?
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay, somebody is requesting for a record to the cloud. All right, we'll do that.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So let's go through the guidance. And also some comments I made to some other students who are asking about the sequencing and so on. So I will talk about this as I go along, right?
Yes.
So I expect this to be a meeting of shareholders, not a academic presentation by students. Okay, so you have a company and you are going to present to shareholders at the annual meeting. Now, in a normal business, even in Vietnam, private companies, public companies, every company, there is at least one meeting between the top management team and the shareholders. Okay?
Yep.
So this is called an annual, usually it's called annual general meeting, right? Here it's just called an annual meeting. It's the same thing, okay? But that's the kind of meeting that we'll have, right? So why some companies use annual general meeting? Because the annual general meeting is to present the performance of the company for the whole year. Then the second thing is to give a projection as to what the coming year or years will be like. So a projection, okay? And finally, they will be asking the shareholders to approve I'd say, re-electing or reappointing the same top management team, unless there are some changes that the top management going to have, maybe some replacements for some people who have left the top management team. So there will be some replacements. Again, this is the time that they do it. Okay. Now, other than the annual general meeting, sometimes there are some urgent decisions that need to be made by the shareholders. Decisions. So the top management team and the board of directors will present to shareholders and require them to make a decision. Okay, so they will be presenting some options for that issue to be some solutions or maybe a significant expansion of the company, which will require a shareholders' approval. Okay, because it involves maybe a lot of borrowing, a lot of investments, or maybe even a merger or acquisition of another company that is quite big, and they will need shareholders' approval for this. Okay, so those will be called annual extraordinary meetings. Okay, usually it's called that. In Vietnam, it's the same. All right. So if you are thinking of starting a business, a company limited, you are expected by law to have at least one meeting with the shareholders. Okay, once a year. Right, by law. You have to submit your audited results with the shareholders meeting approvals from the shareholders, approving the accounts and so on and so forth. And that must be submitted to the authorities here. And it's the same in almost every country that I know. Okay. All right. So that is the reason why we have part 1 and part 2. Okay. So part 1, if you remember what I just said, is to report the performance of the company. All right. So the sequencing and the structure of this meeting, we call the agenda, is using an inverted pyramid method, right, of a meeting. So an inverted pyramid method, if you do a search with the AI, is where you have the top most important items presented first. And for shareholders of a company, obviously the top concern is how is the performance? Okay. In your SBM, you know that I've given you lots of earnings announcements, right? And if you read those earnings announcements, you'll see that the very first sentence and the headline is about the performance. All right. Then the next part of it is, how did you get this performance? Okay. So that's same in part one, but how did you get this performance? Again, this is the top level. That means the total company performance. Okay. As well as how you got there. All right. What strategies did you use to achieve this? Did it work very well, not so well, and so on? Okay. Then the next part of the pyramid, inverted, is going down to each function. Okay. Because the performance of the company must depend on the company strategy. Okay. And from the company's strategy, you derive the marketing strategy, HR strategy, and so on, as I've told you before. So you have to explain to the shareholders in this sequence. Now, the strategies I put here are 2 slides. One for the branded, that means the warehouse sales, sorry, the B2B sales, and then the B2C sales, right? Okay. These 2 together is branded, and private label, another slide. So only 2 slides for the strategy, 2 slides for the performance. Now, some of you may not have much private label sales, maybe 1, 2, 3 years in 1 or 2 regions. I'm okay if you want to omit it because it does not constitute a significant part of the business. Okay. Right. So only where it's just for a couple of years and just a couple of segments. But I think all of you have, at least in one segment, one market, one region, you have at least participated in private label for a few years already. So you can't ignore it. Okay. Why you can't ignore? Because mostly the private label performance is not so good, very low profit margin. And overall, if there's a significant amount of participation of private label in the private label market, it will drag down the overall performance of the company. Okay. So you must report it because it's significant enough. Yeah. Okay. Then 4, 5, 6, 7 in your guidance. Item 4, 5, 6, and 7 in part 1 is all the functional strategies that should align with your business strategy, which is in slides 2 and 3. Okay. So this is where you need to be a bit careful who is going to present. Each one who is responsible for their functional area must present that strategy. Okay. Like in the transcripts I gave you, each of those, like the VP for finance or the VP for sales, marketing, they present what they're responsible for. Okay. Now, if you have to present 2 times, maybe even 3 times, because maybe you wanted to present on the company performance and then you are the finance director and then you have to go wait until somebody does item 2 and item 3, then come back to you, then yes, you got to do it this way. You cannot like move your finance strategy to the top, neither can you move the company performance to item 3. Okay. Remember, it's the first thing that every shareholder wants to know is what is your performance, okay, as a company. Now, I'm okay if you like change the sequence of 4, 5, 6, 7. So maybe somebody presenting on the company's competitive strategy in private label, maybe number 3, is the same person who's presenting for marketing sales. Okay, so you can move the marketing and sales slide to number 4. So the same person can do item 3, and then item 5 moves to item 4. That's fine. Okay, do you understand?
Yep.
Okay, right. Remember, right? Each one of you must be responsible for your own functional area, and you must present on it. Okay, now there is also other roles like the CEO role or whatever other role you have that is not one of these 4. If you have those roles, then you have to present at the right place. Obviously, the company performance, right, must be done by the CEO, maybe even the last one or the last 2, okay? Anyway, I'll leave it to you on how you're going to do it, okay? And make sure you follow this sequence, except 4, 5, 6, 7, which you can change, okay? Now, this part is all about the current and the past, the past until the current year 20. The next part is what is going to happen from now on. You have to give the shareholders confidence, okay? You must give the shareholders reason to believe in you, okay? So you must convince that you are going to do a good job, right? And that job is, the first thing is to make sure that your shareholders have good returns on their investment, okay? And the value of the company is going up. All right, this is very important. Okay, so number 8, right? Item 8. Now, some of you may think, why is it somewhere here in the middle? So I don't want it at the beginning. It's not important. In annual meetings, nobody talks about the vision at the beginning. The first thing is performance. That's why I call it an annual meeting. But for the future, that means from year 21 onwards, right? You need to remind the audience, the shareholders, of the vision. Or if the vision is going to change for some reason, you need to say so at this point. Okay? So this is like the next page, like, okay, we've done up to the year 20, and now the next page, which is year 21. Just to remind you, this is the vision of the company. We're not changing anything, and we want to reinforce this vision. We want to pursue further. That can be a possible way you can introduce. Keep it very short, yeah? Or if you are continuing a vision that has recently changed, maybe after the year 17, you decided to change with your strategic plan too. Okay, so then you say, okay, in the last 3 years, we pivoted or we changed to a new vision, and we will continue this vision for the near term and the medium term. So near term is 1 year, and medium term is 3 years. Just like in the SBM, we'll do the same. Okay, SBM course, huh? All right, so you need to like get the shareholders on the same page as you, because they are not following exactly what the vision is, so you must explain. And therefore, your targets, which is the next slide, number 9, must be in sync with this vision. Okay, right. Following that, number 10, and then number 11. So there are many factors that will impact on these targets, whether those targets can be achieved or not. There are many factors, okay? Can be the macro environment factors, the demand, and so on, including competitors. So because of lack of time, we will only focus on one. Normally in an annual meeting, when the companies, the top management team gives guidance to the shareholders, that means gives the projection, they will go through the different factors. As you find from the annual report and the quarterly reports of the companies in the SBM, they will actually go through several factors. But we don't have enough time. So we will just focus on one factor, in this case, competitors. Okay? Anyway, the competitors is the major factor. Okay? Is the top factor. Whatever happens in the macro environment, you still got to deal with the competitors, right? No competitors, how are you going to, there's no business, there's no industry. So yes, competitors are a very, very important part of the strategy. Okay? So focus on competitors as one of the factors. And then item 11 is 2 slides on how are you going to win over these rivals. Means in what way can you win? Okay, therefore number 12, it's about winning, right? So how to outcompete, that means how to win against these close rivals, near term and medium term, right? Okay, now all these need to be linked together, 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12. There must be continuity, okay? Even the first part, there must be like a handover, like a continuity between at least the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because 2 and 3, the strategies at the company level, the business level, must then relate and be in sync with finance strategy, marketing strategy. So you have to show what is it that that is derived from what finance strategy was derived from the company's competitive strategy. You must show linkage, must show there's synchronization, okay? Alignment, okay? So same thing with 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? So if you have branded footwear, then you also have private label. You need to have the competitive strategies for both, okay? Once again, if you are pulling out of private label, then say so. We're not going to pursue private label because we are not competitive at all. And to be competitive, we need a big change in our business model, big change in our value chain, and a big change in our vision. So we're not going to change. Okay, we'll maintain this, and therefore we will reduce our exposure to the private label. Then you can just focus on branded. There are two channels there, the B2C and D2C and the B2B. Yeah. Okay. Any questions up to here?
So I want to ask for the 11. So the presenter should be the functional manager.
No, this is the business strategy. So this is the part where you're going to talk about whether you're going to be looking at focus, a more focused differentiation, means reducing even more segments, okay? Or you're going to broaden it, you're going to increase the number of segments, okay? So it is the generic competitive strategy, one of those 5, okay? And you may include the growth strategies, such as market penetration, if it's able to, I would say, complement the generic strategy. So, for example, you're going to say, right now we have a broad number of segments. We find that our productivity levels are low, right, because of this larger number of segments. And now we're going to try to reduce the number of segments we're in, and therefore, through the reduction of the number of models. So from a broad differentiation, we want to go into a more focus, not focus, but maybe a more focus, less broad, less number of segments. And then we will pause there until we consolidate and do well there, reaching our targets. Okay, then we may reconsider broadening. once we have strengthened our base. So there must be a story that you have to tell like this. Okay, so what I gave you is just like a story. Okay, there must be a rationale. Speak calmly, not rush through by reading something so it becomes unintelligible. We can't understand. Okay, got my point?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, there are a maximum of 15 slides here. Okay, and minimum, I think, is 13. So some of the like up to 2 slides and up to 2 slides. So if you don't have 2 slides, you have 1, that's fine. So if you have 1 for 11 and 1 for 12, then it's 13. If it's 2 each, then it's going to be 15. Okay, and you only have 10 minutes. If it's 13, you have roughly only about 45, 40 seconds per slide on average. Of course, some slides you don't have to spend so long, like item 8, that slide, the vision, don't need to spend too long. Within 15 seconds, you can say it. Again, calmly, and the slide must be relatively simple because it's just a vision. Simple statement, okay? Shouldn't be more than 10, 15 words, and, for a vision, okay? It's not a story, it's just a vision, a direction, okay? So that has to be in sync again with number 11, okay? Which then number 11, of course, has to be in sync with number 10, and of course needs to be in sync with number 9, okay? The item 9. So yeah, it has to be all related. I must be able to see this story, okay? And whoever is presenting, if there are several persons presenting here, let's say 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 different people, okay, 3 different members of your team. Make sure that you acknowledge what the other person says, or the person who is handing over to the next at least begins the introduction. Okay, on this part here, to show how our strategic vision is going to work, okay, we are going to we will have these performance targets. My colleague here will explain how they are linked to this vision. Something like this, right? Okay. So at least the shareholders can see that there's a lot of coordination, there's an integration. This course called integrated business, right? So you need to show that there's an integration, okay, like this, right? None of these are independent, okay? You get my point? You must demonstrate that. Okay. Now, number 12, although I underline the word lessons learned, that is just to make sure that you get to that point, that you have learned something from here, and then you are going to improvise, right? To either maintain or sustain the growth trajectory that your company is in, right? Or turn around maybe the growth has slowed, so you want to turn it around to make it grow faster. Okay. Maybe it's stagnating a little bit, so you want to, okay. Now, however, your slide should not say, I learned my lesson. You're not telling the shareholders that you're using their money to study and learn lessons. This is not what shareholders want to hear. Okay. Shareholders want to hear, like, what did you, not to say learn, but what is your takeaway from your experiences, okay, in the last 10 years, particularly the last few years, right? Because that is the most important, okay, last few years. So what are the takeaways from your experience, okay, from your experience? So you've experienced some downturn in the demand, okay? It was quite severe, all right? And unanticipated. Fine, these things happen, all right? Not everything can be anticipated. Some is, suddenly happened, yeah? Can't even see a trend, okay? Fine. Then say so. Then what did you take away from here? Going forward, how will you reduce the risk of it happening. Shareholders are very concerned about risk and how you're going to reduce, or what the term is in business is called mitigate. It's a legal term as well. Mitigate means how you're going to minimize the impact of any kind of difference from what you projected. How can you get back the company on track if something did happen, a risk? Okay, so what are the risks and how can you overcome? So what did you experience in your last few years in terms of risks? Do you see a risk happening, the same risk happening again, or do you see other risks happening? Okay, so this is what you see from the annual report and the quarterly reports. If you look at in the SBM, right? I've given you this. If you look at the first few pages relating to risks, please go to risks. Okay, there is a lot of parts relating to risks. This is, you see, it's very much at the higher end of that the annual report, because all shareholders want to know what is the risk. Okay, and they're going to take a calculated gamble, okay, on you, knowing that you are aware of the risk and you know what to do if anything like that actually happens. So risk is not something that will happen. It might happen, but you must demonstrate that you are aware of those risks and you know what you will do, what to do if they happen. That is what number 12 is for. This is what we call lessons learned. Okay? But don't put your side and say, I learned this lesson. Don't make it sound like you as an academic, like a lesson I learned from the punishment or whatever. No, the shareholders want to know this. Don't tell them that. That'll make them scared about this. They say, yeah, their money is being used for you to learn. That's not what they pay you for, Okay? You understand? It's to assess risk. Okay? Get my point? Do you understand? The last part of that item 12, it says head-to-head battle against rival companies. Because we have focused on the competitors as the major factor. Okay? So you need to address that first, primarily. Got it? Do you have questions about this? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, we understand.
Okay, about risk, yeah? About risk, yeah? Okay, yes?
Yeah, I would like to ask about these branding strategies. So actually, we have two category in this one. One is for the internet strategy, and the other one is for wholesale. So, is it possible that we make two slides for this one, or we have to strictly to follow only one slide, the same way
Yeah,
in the guideline?
just one, yes. Because both of these have common, say, characteristics relating to advertising. Okay.
Yeah,
So you need to weave the two in together somehow. Okay. I know,
yeah,
yes, there's a lot to say, but you need to say enough only.
yeah,
There's a technique to do it. Now, of course, if you don't have private label, then of course you have the bonus. Okay, extra slide. Okay.
yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
yeah. And
Yeah. Mm.
actually, like you just mentioned, we have a lot of content to put in this one.
Mm.
For
I
example,
know.
because the strategy is related to like SQ rating, number of models, brand advertising, all of those content.
Yes.
So I'm not sure like how much content we should push into. Like we just put like the most critical one, or we have to put all of the aspect of branding and advertising here.
Oh, you see, you have to communicate to the shareholders, and if the shareholders cannot see what's there and you cannot communicate, then it's very difficult. They don't want to be overloaded with so much information. If they do want to see that information, just like in the annual reports that you got for your SBM, right? it goes to the end, the details. You know, there's lots of appendix in the annual report, correct?
Yeah.
So you can put them all in the appendix. If you want some specific details, you can put it there. See?
Yes, so
And the
yeah.
shareholders can check on it in their own time. But during the shareholders meeting, they want brief story. What is your story?
Yeah.
Okay. What is important in the story? What is the message you want to get to the shareholders? All these things, the details on the SQ and so on, this is all too much information. You understand? During the 10 minutes. During the 10 minutes, yeah? But you are most welcome to put all those details, if necessary, to help to understand or provide more insight into what you have in your main slides. Yeah, those can go into the appendix. You can add another 10, 15 slides. It's okay. But it will
Yeah.
go into the appendix. Huh? Okay?
Yes. So let's say our main strategy is broad differentiation. Then may you suggest like what kind of content we may put here? Like should we like put like to show the stakeholder about the number of models and the SQ rating changes over the years?
Well, why do you want to show the number of models? Is it very important to show this?
Because what I mean is that's a big part of the strategies. So we would like
That's
to
not.
communicate them.
Yeah, but the number of models is not it's not what we call a business strategy. That is one of your operational and marketing strategies, is it?
Yeah, but like if we say we are using the broad differentiation, then at least we need to have some, supporting numbers instead of just saying it in words.
No,
Yeah.
all you have to do is to tell that in terms of the competitive strategy, you are targeting how many segments?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, right? And therefore, you provide a large variety to cater to the needs of these many segments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's nothing more you need to tell. Why do you need to show how many models you have? Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah. You see,
and
what you're presenting is the strategy. You're going to say,
okay.
why is there a difference in this region compared to your region? Okay, the competitor strategies are different, so that's why we have to counter this. See?
Yeah. And should I mention about the industry? For example, should I mention whether like most of the other competitor they follow a different strategy than us? So that's why we are following a different strategy, which is more successful. Or we just talk about ourselves without mentioning about the other competitors.
Well, you do need, it is very important to show some benchmark,
Yeah.
okay, particularly with the closest competitors. But this will come up in the part 2, which
Yeah.
is the slide on the closest competitors, okay?
Yeah.
You can, but definitely like yesterday as well, as I went through the slides, I suggested that they should show a benchmark. Shareholders are interested to know how you compare. But for yesterday's 6 companies, they are lower performing. So it is very important for them to be very selective when they show this benchmark. You cannot be showing the benchmarks where they are below the benchmark. So you got to show those areas that they are strong in for
Yeah.
them. Yeah. In your case, it's more to do with keeping the competitive advantage. So the top 6 here have more competitive advantages, correct? So
Yeah.
it is about sustaining that competitive advantage. How do you maintain it? And how are you going to build new competitive advantage to keep staying ahead? See? And
Okay.
ahead where? Maybe you're focusing more on some markets and not all. See?
Yeah.
Where is your biggest strength? Where is the biggest growth? See? Things like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That again, we're talking about the previous performance up to year 20. Now the ones about the future is the next ones, part 2. Okay.
Yeah. So and for the strategy part, we just focusing talking about the strategy, and we may not show the result related to the strategy, right? Because that may be explained in more detail in the first overall performance slide, and also will be more detail in like the finance slide. So
No, not really. Your company performance depends on the business strategy, which is
yeah,
the competitive strategy, right? It
yeah,
is the first level, as well as things like growth strategies, like you may have added in things like market development
yeah,
or market penetration. Okay, that's
yeah,
fine. Or you say market expansion. So this is where
yeah,
you add more models because you're increasing the product lines, for example, or product extension, right?
yeah,
Okay, so yes,
yeah,
the slides 3 and 4, right?
yeah,
Item 2 and 3, right?
yeah,
Is to explain why you got the performance in slides 1 and 2.
yeah,
Okay, you
yeah,
have to link the two. You said
yeah.
our strategy works. As you can see, our performance, we are outperforming
Okay,
our
yeah,
competitors in here, here, and here, for example, right?
yeah,
You get
and
it?
yeah, yeah, I got it. And Mr. Saram, one
Mm.
last question for this part is that because we have different strategy for different regions and also different period over the past 10 years.
Mm.
So we wonder, it's still very challenging for us to squeeze all of the contents into
No.
very few
So,
slides.
so,
Yeah.
so you should put these in your appendix, not here. Yesterday, there was somebody did the same, showing, so proud to show they have made some changes here and so on. No, those go into the appendix. But when you show the performance over the years, okay, you can point out and highlight a key period where you had maybe diverted or pivoted away from what you had before. You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
resultant was a better performance. You see, that's what
Uh,
shareholders want to know. They want to know whether you are being in control,
yeah.
okay? That you have managed their money, you've managed the money well. See?
Yeah. So like we have some key milestone. Let's say for like years 14, that we do some big improvement. So we should like focusing on mention the more the years that's the more significant than the other years instead of showing all of the data in the 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to show the chart, right, over the 10-year period. This is what I require, year 11 to year 20, right? So you have to
Yeah,
show, because we want to see the whole picture. So we can see that, where is the downturn, or where did you go up and fell, and what did you do since then, right?
yeah,
So, okay, you managed to turn around, and did you sustain it? So those are key questions that you have to address, okay? And in terms of the actual specific business strategy that you pivoted to, and of course the corresponding finance and marketing and so on, those very specific details should go into the appendix. But your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, the finance strategy, HR, and so on, the charts should show
yeah,
some connection between what is done there and what is shown in the say the company performance charts. Okay.
yeah. So for the slide 3 and 4 is more about we can show the detail of the performance. And for the slide number 1 and 2, we just say the overall result of the 10 years.
Yeah, the overall result, you must show the EPS, the ROE, and so on, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
do I need to show the overall performance for in the first slide, let's say the ROE? So do we have to show like the detailed performance for 10 years? Or we
Oh,
just show the
yeah.
final results and
It says
yeah,
year 11 to 20 because we want to see the big picture.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
need to be very careful how you draw these charts, because what I saw yesterday was all cluttered. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much and too small, too tiny. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe by looking at one example, one of the draft presentations, then you will get to understand better. Okay.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what happened yesterday. They learn more from looking at that draft presentation than from just talking. You see, because there's something to see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is there any other questions relating to this before we go into the
Yes,
first?
Mr. Saram, I have a
Yes.
question.
Mm.
Okay, we have a part one about company performance, and the
Mm.
first slide we have two slides about company performance. So my
Mm.
question is, I saw that content include a lot of financial ratio. So is this content will be presented by the CFO, or it can be presented by another one, for example, CEO of the company?
Yeah, up to you. Finance director or whatever can present. It's not an issue.
Yes, and my second questions relate to the part two about strategic vision. So
Mm.
at this part, we include a lot of content, and for example, our group have 3 members. So is this have to be presented by all the 3 members, or we can like only 2 members can be presented for this part two only?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely up to you, but remember how I assess you. Look at the unit guide, and I've given you the criteria on how I assess you, right? Have a look at the unit guide. Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, let me open my file. I haven't opened my file yet. Just a minute. Okay, so the criteria is going down to the bottom under grading, right? You see there's a point below demonstrated evidence, right? 1, 2, 3, the fourth bullet point under grading. Consequently, the individual co-manager is assessed by demonstrated evidence of business skills and decision making based on all those items. So, of course, the operations management, so if you have operations manager, that person must obviously present there, but that person will not be presenting on finance management, marketing and sales management, and HR management. However, my questions will be directed relating to, let's say, finance management. I could ask the operations manager. I'm not going to ask the operations manager about operations management. Okay? Do you understand that? If you are what role do you have?
Yes, we have.
What role what role do you have?
Yes, my role is about sales and marketing. So for the first part, to
Okay,
review,
wait.
yeah,
You will present definitely sales and marketing strategy, right? But during
yeah,
the Q&A, I'm not going to ask you anything relating to sales and marketing. I'm going to ask you something relating either to the strategy or the business strategy, or it could be on HR, could be on marketing, could be on finance, it could be on operations. Do you know why? Because every person in your top management team has to know what is going on in the other functional areas. Everything is integrated. Marketing and sales depends on operations. It depends on the finance. It depends on the HR. And vice versa. So you have to know what is going on. You have to be able to understand there are issues in operations. You need to understand the issues in finance, and you need to make adjustments for the benefit of the whole company, not only marketing and sales. You understand? So that is
yeah,
why the Q&A, right, is going to be relating to that. That is the reason why I can assess you across almost all of this. But in your presentation, you must somehow demonstrate any slide that you have there every one of you must demonstrate your leadership skills because everybody in a team is a leader. Okay?
Yeah.
Must be able to show that there was collaboration and teamwork. So again, simple handover like, okay, my colleague will talk more about this because it affected their strategy. Okay. Then I can see there's collaboration because you show that you are aware. See? You need to
Yeah.
demonstrate, you see? You demonstrate. You cannot make me guess. You see, you cannot make me guess. That's why I said demonstrate. You demonstrate means during your presentation, you must say so, something like that. And if in the Q&A, you got more chance. You can then say, okay, my colleague in, so you and marketing says, my colleague in operations management and I, we consult each other a lot on this area. That shows me that you have done some collaboration and teamwork. That's good. I'll give you some good scores for that. You see?
Yeah.
Then analytical skills. You must demonstrate that you have used some kind of a tool, every one of you. What tool? 5 whys, fishbone. So you say something like, oh, the root cause of this was, then I understand it. Okay, great. So you had a downturn. And so what you say, you must use the right words. Like we all of us came together. We brainstormed the issue. And then we worked out what the root causes were. And then we attacked the root causes. Fantastic. That already demonstrates to me two things. You collaborated as a team, and then you had analytical skills because you mentioned the word root cause, an issue together, you see? Then I know that you've done analysis. Okay? So you may say, okay, you use a fishbone to, a 5 whys, some analytical tool to work out the root cause. You don't have to show me this. Just tell me in the presentation is enough, or even during the Q&A, okay? And then the others, strategic planning and analysis. What's that? That means you did some forward thinking. So in like you say, okay, we did 3-year planning. And in our 3-year planning, we managed to see what happened in the previous 3 years. And now we experienced certain changes in the environment, including our competitors. And now for the next 3 years, we did some simulation, right? We did different scenarios. And then we had a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. If it went this way, then we go to plan B. We switch, right? So in the next 3 years, that is called strategic planning and analysis. And of course, the last one is in all your decision making, did you do or use any kind of CSR practice? Did you practice any CSR? Okay. So you have to demonstrate that in the way you speak during the presentation and so on. So I can't answer your question to say that, oh, is it okay to have 2 people? I don't know if the person has already covered every one of this in the first part, that's great. Then no need to speak in the second part, right? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And if you think that the 2 persons, the third person who is not presenting in the part 2, will be able to address it in the Q&A, whatever is missing from the 1, 2, 3, 8 and 9, okay, and maybe one of the 4, 5, 6, 7 in the Q&A, and we'll be able to address whatever is missing, then okay, no problem. But make sure that you really know that what you said and what you miss out, because you must cover it in either the presentation side or the Q&A side. Must. Okay. And to make sure that you as the marketing and sales will get the marks for marketing and sales, that's why you must present on marketing and sales. Understand?
Yes.
Right? And for the other 3, no need, because I only going to assess you on one of the other 3. You see? Okay?
Yes.
So don't need to worry about that. And then the other 2, I will not mark. You see? Okay? So I'm marking only maximum 7. You understand?
Yes.
All right. Okay. You understand? Is it clear now?
So if I am a finance manager, do you rate my grade on the on my presentation on the branded strategy pack, for example, or it will be only for the financial part of
I will
myself and then
only,
the question?
I will rate you on the finance management and on the other leadership skills, collaboration and teamwork, analytical skills, the strategic planning analysis and corporate. You have to demonstrate, even you talk about branding, I understand it's marketing and sales, but in that part, you have to demonstrate that you have managed to use teamwork effectively, collaborate.
Yeah.
You see?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. And sorry, but I still have one last question regarding the slide number 3 and 4.
Okay.
So yeah, because I wonder if we can still show the market share and then like the image rating, just for example, for an our revenue amount as the example of the result of our strategy.
Hey, all of you seem to be totally obsessed with market share, but market share is very misleading. Are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that being a small company, SME, who obviously cannot have even a 0.5% market share, is that bad?
Yeah.
Is that bad?
No, that's
Of course
not a
not.
bad thing, but yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
nothing. Then you're saying that only big companies with market share is very good. That's not true. There are lots of big companies with huge market share, but are still making loss. Like Grab,
yeah,
for example. Grab has what
yeah,
used to have 70 something, now it's down to what 40% share. It's worse. Their loss is getting worse.
yeah,
Well, not the whole company, but at least the big part of the ride hailing is negative. So what is the big deal about market share?
yeah. So what kind of information may I present in the
You have to show that
library?
your company is giving your shareholders very good returns. Because
Okay, yeah,
otherwise, I will take my money and go somewhere else and get better returns, right?
yeah, yeah,
Ultimately, that's the key point. Nothing to do with market share.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay? They don't care about market share. Unless, of course, you can prove to them that increasing the market share will result in better profitability. And then they're interested. But until you can do that, I don't think that's the case. You can't show this kind of correlation.
yeah, okay,
Because you can see some companies only focus on a few models and there's a niche, right? And they did very well.
yeah, okay,
Okay?
yeah.
Right. Okay. It's coming to 7, but we haven't done any, we haven't looked at any of the slides yet. So I think at this point we should take a look at some. First with the team company G, right? Hello, where are you?
Yes, we will share share the screen for the updated slide.
Sure. Okay. Maybe you should show the full screen. Yes. All right. Just leave it here. Let me make some comments. All right. Good. You may have heard already from yesterday that this is not a BSG game. Don't ever use this word here, and don't put student numbers. You're not students, you are managers. So take that role seriously. And yes, you should put this kind of introduction. The operation manager, the HR manager, and so on. And I would prefer you also put in the CEO's name if there's a role CEO. Okay. So if who is the CEO? Can you hear me?
Yeah, actually, we discussing everything with each other. So yeah, we need to discuss on this ones as well because sometimes depending on the situation, so we respect the opinions of each functional department before come up with the decision. Yeah, we will discuss more on this one.
Yes, there must be some. Someone should take that CEO role, isn't it?
Yeah, I got your point.
Okay. Right. So if whoever it is, you will have someone will have two roles. You shouldn't have 5 lines, just the 4, but you have one more role added to that person. Okay?
Yeah.
Exactly the same you see in the transcripts. Some transcripts are given all that, right? Okay. Okay, next slide. Yes, using the word agenda. Yesterday, people had table of contents. So if any of you have table of contents, please, this is not a report or some kind of academic work. You are talking about a meeting. And all meetings, as you know, in your companies, you have an agenda for a meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So please do it properly as though it is an actual meeting. So it must be an agenda. Sorry, go back again. Go back. I'm not sure why you put strategic plan. Normally, if you look at the way the shareholders meetings and the annual reports are presented, the second point would normally be guidance. It would say guidance or future guidance, okay, or future outlook.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Okay, so please use the similar terms. Yeah. Okay. Key takeaways. Okay. All right. Fine. All right. Next. Okay. I looked at what you had sent to me, and there is no improvement. You see, how you remember you are communicating with shareholders. Yes, we do receive this in advance. Okay. And when we receive it in advance, the first thing we are looking at is what are you trying to tell us? Okay. You're trying to tell us everything. So, no. What is important for us? Okay. The first thing that's important is the ROE,
Yeah.
right? Because that is the highest weightage. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Then maybe the next two are the other two. But then the other 3 things, the revenue, the gross profit margin, and the net profit margin, these take first. Okay. So again, look at the way it's presented in some of the shareholders meetings of the SBM companies.
Mm.
Yeah, and you notice, what they are doing. They put high impact slides, not cluttered slides. So what's important, okay, must be there. So there's too much information here. Like you're talking about year 11 to 14 growth recovery, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all this thing in this box here, I think you can put it in the appendix. And it must link to strategy. See? So if I
Yeah.
just shift to the strategy slide just for a moment, I need to come back here. Just go to the strategy slide. You see the same thing that was shown yesterday. Too much information here. No one's going to understand this. Shareholders will not understand. Okay? So you have to present it in a way that only the keywords clearly will give an idea about what this is. And then you need to fill in the blanks when we hear you. So I'm going to hear you as a shareholder. Where there are the blank parts to connect some of these keywords, that's what I want to see in your presentation orally. Okay. Okay, now go back. See, so you're repeating everything here. Same thing, best cost strategy, you're repeating it there. See? So, and then you talk about liquidity crisis. No need. This one you can say. You can put this in the notes under the slide. That's why I asked you for PowerPoint, so that I can read the notes. But not in the slide. You understand what I'm saying? You have two
Yep.
options. You can put it in the appendix, and then you must say, see Appendix X for detail. Or you can put it under the slide in the note section. Yeah, that is why I wanted the raw PowerPoint file, so I can see any note if you have one, if you have any. Okay, so all this stuff here, the green box is not necessary. So what is very important? The profit margin and the gross margin. Okay,
Yes.
ROE is the number one criteria,
Mm.
and then followed by the other two. And the other parts, like the stock price, can be just like a highlight only. Okay.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be so detailed with all these numbers. I mean, are we going to look at all these numbers? No. We would like to know the trend. We would like to know how you're doing versus your closest competitors. Okay.
Yes.
So what is the story you're trying to tell here? Overall, were you improving? Is it a turnaround story? Is it a success story going flat? You see what I mean? What is that theme here from this slide? So cut out all this noise and get to the point. What is that story you're trying to tell here in 40 seconds? Okay, remember there's branded and the non-branded. As well, right? Do you want to put them here? Then it becomes a bit more complicated. Or is it a good story to tell? I can't say which way. It depends on what story you're going to say and how the strategy that you see. Again, you must understand that whatever you have here in this performance part, the next question that comes to the mind of the shareholders is, how do you get this performance? That's where strategy comes in. So there
Yep.
must be a connection between this and those strategies for the branded and the private label.
Yep.
Okay. So the box at the right corner, the scoring metrics and so on, why do you put investor expectation 30%? Why do you no need? Why do you put this?
Yeah, our idea here is like to measure how is our end user compared to the expectation of the investor.
Why can't you just put it into the chart? The ROE chart, the expectation is 30. Just show achieve above expectation. Show
Yeah.
all those in this one here, all the points. I don't need the number, just the point, and circle the point or something like that, or put an arrow. All these is above expectation.
Okay.
They don't care about the below expectation. See? But if it's good, if like 8 out of 10 is above expectation, that sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But if the 8 are all in the first 8 years and the last 2 is below, then that's not sorry, it's not very good. So you shouldn't do that, right?
Okay, so
remember,
we all
always try to make sure that the shareholders are happy.
okay.
Okay?
Yes.
What is your story to make them happy?
There we
Yeah, you understand? It doesn't
Yeah.
look like a happy thing because your revenue is declining. That's not very good.
Mm.
But you may show that, oh, revenue is declining, but our profit margin is going up. Now, how do you show that? I can't see this here. You show a line and then you expect the shareholder to switch from the left-hand axis to the right-hand axis and like, which one is which? And then this very tiny key for each. I can't see anything. So what is the point of doing this? Just to show that you've done some work? No, you are communicating. You are trying to convince the shareholders. So what are you convincing? You put in so small, tiny numbers and charts that don't make sense. It's not going to help. So what is the point of putting a line chart? And you have to put in net profit margin. Would it be better to have a stacked bar chart in different colors? Is it more visually clear? Remember, it's a visual, right? So it's not about making it look nice. Is it communicating your story? Yesterday, I went through this also with the teams, right? And there's no one way that you can do it. You can do a stack chart, or you can show 3 lines. They had some lines. I say with lines, it's very hard to visualize, right? So they went for a stack bar chart. Okay. So what is the right kind of chart, okay, that would tell your story, okay? All right. And then you need to show like where were the critical points and not to worry about revenue drop because margins go up if that's the case, right? There's a deliberate reduction in revenue because you decided not to sell more in certain markets. Fine. But are we getting more return? Okay. There is an uptick in the return. That's good. So yes, your story. Don't worry about the revenue. We still can get a much better ROE compared to our competitors. You see?
Yep.
Then stick to that theme throughout your, not just this slide, all the rest, even the finance, even the marketing and sales. It has to be consistent. Then I know there's some teamwork. That you guys are working as a team, not individuals. Running around separately. See? Got it?
Yep.
So how you present this, like the image rating, so it's not important because it's a lower rank, correct?
Yeah.
So you might put it as a smaller chart without any numbers because we'll be wondering what those numbers are. So it's distracting. Don't put any numbers. Why not put numbers? You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay. Right. So and you just put a few numbers on the scale, and instead of what you have 20, 40, 60, no need now. What for? Make sure it's big enough to see, and all those small numbers in each point, no need. What for? Okay.
Yeah.
Not important. Why do we want to know about the 71 there? Is it going to carry some big story? No. Do you know what I mean? Everything that you put here must have a significance. Otherwise, you shouldn't show it. So if you don't think a 71 is necessary for a shareholder to know, why should the shareholder know about 71? What's so important about 71, 75, 80, 86? I'm looking at the image rating. What's so important about that? And what you want the shareholders be thinking while you're talking? And you're talking maybe about the box at the top and they are looking at the image rating down here. So we're not listening to you, see? So too much here for a shareholder to look at in 40 seconds and at the same time listen to you understanding your story. You don't want to distract the shareholders away from your story. You understand? That is why I told you not more than 40 words. And not 40 words includes those numbers that you have there in the EPS column, in the charts. All this is included in your 40 words, you know. That's too much to read in 40 seconds. Understand? And to listen to you.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Think about it. You see, you put yourself in the shoe of a person who's listening. Can that person focus on everything at the same time? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Next. So I made some comments about this already.
Yes.
Again, you should not be doing this. Okay. Just put, if you think it's a build quality, again, what is quality? Above, you can say premium, moderate. Don't put low end, but maybe could say basic. Okay.
Yep.
Something not so negative. Okay.
Okay.
What is the important word here? We don't understand what you mean by premium positioning. See, we don't understand what's build capability. What's this? Okay. So don't try to explain your best cause or broad. It's a very simple thing. We are targeting a broad range of segments. Okay. That's all. Nothing more you need. So all our strategies on marketing and so on is geared towards this. My colleague in marketing will explain how we are managing to keep a broad number of segments happy. Okay.
I have a question for this one. So in this strategy overview, we only need to like summarize our strategy, whether like one strategy consistently across the period or like we moving from broad differentiation to best goals. Do we need to like giving a clue about the major events or the rationale why we decide to like changing our strategy or not? Or we will cover that one in the part of the functional or later part?
So in your case, so again, I can't say for everybody, right? So for your case, you must show there was some change in the performance towards the year, whatever 15 it is.
Yeah.
And then you made a decision to pivot your strategy.
Okay.
You must be able to link what was in the previous performance slide with this one, and of course the following slides with all your functional strategies must be in sync, right?
Yep.
That's the key story. That yes, we were I would say maybe alerted with this let's say declining performance, and we had a extensive, I would say, analysis, identifying the issue. So here's where you show me that you've analyzed with your team together. We brainstormed, we found, we identified the root causes, and one of the root causes relating to our decision making, right? Wasn't whatever, right? And that meant we had to change our strategy. Okay, something like this, right?
Yep.
That's the story you should tell me. Not this. This is no use to me. Why do I care what's the year 12, year 14, 13? I don't care about this. All right.
Yeah.
Now then we have to see, is it consistently carried down? So from the broader, bigger picture, your business strategy, has it now filtered down to your functional strategies? And how successful were they in supporting the business strategy? Because all these functional strategies support your business strategy. How successful was it? Okay?
Yes.
And that's where it will link for your final slide relating to the lessons learned, also called that, which is what experience did you get from here? Yes, the business strategy was great, but there are some weaknesses in the way you rolled out your, let's say, your operational strategies. Okay?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, go on. Next slide. Yeah, see, too much information here. What story are you trying to tell me? Okay, let me tell you what I see. When you first show me this slide, the first thing I zoom into is the two white areas. Obviously, I don't look at anything else because the two white areas stand out. So your choice of color is very important, right? You put white, so of course we all zoom to that. Then we look at the white and say, wow, so complicated. How this small, this tiny color, and why are you telling me this? What is the story here? Like, I see some yellow and then suddenly no yellow. Then I don't see any red, and I see red. So what does this mean? And you're talking about strategy. This is like pair soul. Isn't this supposed to be a marketing thing? Margin over direct costs. Isn't it supposed to be related to your direct costs? This is more of operations. Is it more of the financial management? So I'm not sure what all this is. Too many words. I don't understand what they mean. Is it important that we go into all these operational details? This is strategy. So again, in the private label strategy, we are looking for the same thing. Is it low cost? Is that what you're pursuing? So the lowest cost of goods sold. So you have margin over direct costs. Not sure what this is. So I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is that since this is private label, we should be selling at, I mean, they are gonna the private label retailers are gonna ask for very low price. Okay. Can we make money from this? This is the first question a shareholder will ask. So yes, I see the relevance here of the margin, but is this the right place to do it, or is it in the financial part? Okay, depends on your story, right? So my expectations here in the strategies slides is to tell me how the overall performance was achieved, right? The overall business performance, how was it achieved? Okay, we got that through two things. Our branded will be higher cost, but highly differentiated, but our private label will be low cost. Obviously, it has to be low cost. Can't be differentiated because private label retailers don't care about the differentiation. They just want the cheapest. Okay. So to sell at the lowest price means that you have a very low cost and you can get a very good margin. So does this contribute to the margin of your business? So if you have a significant amount of private label sales and it contributes significantly to the business performance, what is very important for shareholders is to show the composition of private label and branded sales in one pie chart. And you could show, because you're showing here that you didn't pay so much attention to private label until more recently, and then it started to go down. So you could show significant parts where you had almost no sales in private label and predominantly branded. And then somewhere in the middle, you had peak sales of private versus branded, and then you started to reduce that. Now, how did it contribute to the overall profit performance of the company? You see, that's the story you might want to show. And if your profit margin here was on par with the branded, then there's something to be very proud of. They said, yes, even though we have a low price here and our branded is premium, we still make same amount of margin because of very good cost control. That's what you should be reporting to shareholders.
Yeah.
That's what we want to know. You see the story?
Yes, I also have one question that because private label is about a low cost bidding, and you mentioned that we also have to let the investor to be aware of the risk. So if we have like the stories about the risk that the mistake that we already got in, like for example, we tried to improve the margin a little bit. However, because of that, we failed on bidding. Should we put it in this slide, or should we put in the takeaway slide?
I mean, you can mention that you had faced these risks and you will address it later in the presentation towards the end, when we will show you how we're going to mitigate this in the future. You see? So there's a connection between here
Yes.
and your last slide and the future, see? Okay? You understand, yeah?
Yes.
But you should think about doing a pie chart now, if it makes sense, and if your margins were pretty good, and it contributed significantly to the company's profit and performance. So you need this pillar, right, of business going forward as well. It's a very important pillar of your business.
Yeah.
Okay, and you need to tell the shareholders this. Okay, and illustrate very clearly in some chart. Clear, huh? Okay. So I mean, to me, I would see 3 phases. The early stage, where you didn't have much contribution, the kind of the 17, 18 stage, and then towards the end is the 20, the last year. There seems to be 3 different points. Okay. And then where do we go from here? This is very interesting now. Where do we go from here? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is on the overall business strategy. So let's deep dive down into our functional strategies, starting with my colleague in marketing, and go there. Is that the next slide? Which one is the next one?
Next slide is for branded production strategy.
Why do you put the private label first and the branded second?
Because we want to link to the other functional slide where we see that it's more relevant to the branded production in terms of wholesale and internet segment.
I don't see. So what's the next slide after this? So how does this come next? I don't see the connection. So you always start, as I said, inverted pyramid. The biggest contributor. It's not private label. It's branded.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless yours is the reverse. I don't know. Or unless you're trying to tell me that private label is the star performer. Okay. Star performer, not in terms of revenue, but in terms of profit. It's bringing more profit than branded. Okay. Then that's why you highlight it first. But if it's the lower contributor, then why you put it first? You see, makes no sense.
Okay.
Okay, you want to impress first, but not show the lower first, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the logic you're using is not what the investors are thinking. Okay. So again, a lot of information here, and you're talking about finance strategy. So why are you having all these ending cash, debt equity? What is this? Why are we having this? You see, according to what I'm looking for, or shareholders basically, finance strategy, you must show us review the finance strategy, management, and performance. Okay, so the finance strategy, management, and performance means finance strategy, finance management, and finance performance, okay, of your company. Finance relates to cash flow, use of debt versus equity, loans, anything that affects your credit rating, okay, which is maybe the loans and actions that affect it. Stock issues, repurchase is very important for investors because it affects the value, it affects investment. So if you're wanting to sell shares, that means issue shares, then we would like to see the value go up, right? So have you been in the finance side, have you timed your purchases and your sales of shares properly? Or did you miss it and created the reverse, which is buy at high price and sell at low price? See? And then dividends. This is very important because what are the shareholders here for? They want to get dividends. Okay. They want to see their returns. All right. They can tolerate retain earning for a while, but then you need to return something back to the shareholders on a timely way, is it? All right. So this is what you should be showing us here. Do you need a lot of charts for this? If you look at some of the slide presentations from your SBM, some of the companies did very good slide presentations. They didn't have charts here. They were talking about just key numbers. They put like a plus 18%, year on year average increase growth, right? On say cash flow or debt over equity and so on. Do we really need to look at every single year? Is it important? So I said from year 11 to year 20. Yeah, in charts. Okay. What does a chart mean? Does it mean that we got to look at every single year? What is the purpose of asking you from year 11 to year 20? Why am I asking that? What the shareholders are looking for when they say, I want to see your financial performance, financial side, your financial strategy and your performance, right? From year 11 to year 20. Am I expecting to see every single year? Do I want to be that detailed? You can put this in the appendix so that you cover that every year. But what are you showing in the slide? The highlights, right? Hmm. Yeah, so the dividends part doesn't look very good because for a long time you didn't pay much dividends. And suddenly, just before the shareholders meeting, you're giving dividends. So this chart doesn't really look good.
Yeah, we got your point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Share repurchase, and you didn't issue any, did you?
No, we didn't.
So then there's a question, right? You're showing purchase, but where's the issue?
Mm.
Sure, there's going to be dilution, but you're also borrowing a lot, correct?
Yes.
Why could you have avoided the debt?
Mm, I think.
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that you should address. Why did you decide to take in debt rather than sell equity?
Yes.
Okay. All you need to do is give decent dividends every year.
Mm.
So the finance manager has to demonstrate that, she has looked at it and made a balanced decision. Okay. That is what this 30, 40 seconds is for. You have looked at the operations, your operations managers' inputs. You've looked at the marketing and sales. You've looked at the targets. And to support the cost of goods and the operations to try to improve the profitability, you need to manage the debt part because there's interest, right?
Mm.
And the timing of share purchase and share issues if you don't want to have the loans, okay?
Yeah.
So when is it the strategic point that you decided to expand your capacity? And why do you want to expand your capacity? So this has to relate to investment in CapEx, right? Your capital expenditure, right?
Yeah.
How did it support your operations?
Mm.
How did it support your marketing? Right? So it's not just finance strategy, it's finance strategy, management, and performance, all three. You must read it like that, not finance strategy only. Yeah, in the guide. It's the same with the other things. Operations is the same. So strategy, the management, that means operation strategy, operations management, and operations performance, all three. Somehow you got to create a very simple visual or visuals, simple and easy to see, that can show these three. This one doesn't. I can't see how the strategy relates to the management of your finance and the performance. I don't see that relationship here
Mm. Yeah.
because you're not using the right measures anyway. So you might want to put half of this slide relating to sorry, 1/3 of the slide relating to strategy, 1/3 relating to the management. That means how this was managed, and then how did it perform? Is it beyond your expectation, meeting your expectation, or below your expectation? You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So performance is measured like that, right? And did it create some other issues? let's say in operations, they were too slow to expand, for example, right? Too slow to capitalize on certain market demand, for example, or too inflexible that they were stuck. See? You understand?
Yeah.
So if private label is a key pillar, so how did you help in the cost control? See the point? What did you do to help in the cost control? What actions did you take?
Yeah, sure. It should show here, like, if you want to focus more on, for example, private label, so how financial decisions will support from that direction.
Correct. And what did you do, and was it successful?
Okay.
Or did it work? You see?
Yeah.
So again, don't go so much detail and so much long story. Get to that point very quickly, right? And the story must be consistent with the others in the earlier slides. Cannot be disjointed, you see? If the person presenting